The sky above planet Zeta-9 was always dark. Thick gray clouds moved slowly, and the air was cold and dry. Long ago, this place was a busy colony, but after the last war, it was forgotten. Broken buildings, empty machines, and dust everywhere. Ben's ship landed softly near an old research tower. He stepped outside wearing a light armor suit, carrying a small scanner. He was here for a supply check. Command sent him because no one else wanted to go. The planet was quiet now, but people still feared it. Ben wasn't afraid. He had been a soldier once. Now, he worked as an engineer. Fixing things was easier than fighting. He moved through the ruins, scanning metal parts, marking them for pickup dots suddenly. His scanner beeped, life signal. Weak. Below ground dot. Ben frowned. That's strange, he whispered. He followed the signal to a broken door, half covered in stone and metal. Using his tools, he cleared the path and stepped into darkness. His flashlight lit the narrow hall. Old wires hung from the ceiling. He walked slowly, following the signal dot. It led him to a round chamber. Inside, there was a strange chair, glowing faintly, and in that chair, a woman. She looked asleep. Her skin was pale, almost shining. Her long silver hair flowed like water. A symbol glowed on her hand, a soft blue light. Thin chains held her arms and legs. Ben's breath caught. She was not human, but she looked close enough, just different. Her ears were a little pointed. Her eyes, when they opened, were silver and calm. "Who are you?" Ben asked gently. The woman blinked slowly. She looked at him for a moment, as if trying to understand. Then she whispered, "You're not Drex." Ben shook his head. "I'm human. I'm here to help." She looked at the chains, then at him again. "You came, you found me." Ben checked. The chains, they were old, but still strong. He pulled out a cutter and carefully broke them. One by one, the chains fell. The woman leaned forward, weak. Ben caught her before she fell. "I've got you," he said. She didn't resist. Her hand touched his arm softly. She looked up at him and said something strange. "I will marry you." Ben blinked. "What?" "I will marry you," she repeated, calmly. Ben chuckled nervously. "Right? You must be tired." She closed her eyes again, resting her head against his shoulder. Ben looked around. No traps. No signs of others. Whoever had put her here was long gone. He picked her up gently and carried her back to the ship dot as they flew away from Zeta-9. Ben looked at her sleeping in the medical pod. He didn't know who she really was or what her words meant, but something deep in his gut told him this wasn't just a rescue mission. This was the start of something bigger. Later that night, in his ship's small control room, Ben sat quietly, staring at the stars. The autopilot flew toward the nearest safe station. He couldn't stop thinking about the woman. She hadn't said much, just that one strange sentence. And her eyes, they were deep, like she had seen lifetimes. He heard soft steps behind him, turning. He saw her standing at the doorway. She wore a simple robe from the ship's supply. Her silver hair fell to her waist. She still looked tired, but stronger now. "You're awake," Ben said, standing up. "Yes," she replied. "You saved me." He nodded. "I found you by chance. I was just sent to collect scrap." "Chance," she repeated, "or fate." Ben smiled politely, unsure what to say. She stepped closer. "My name is Mira." "Ben," he said. She looked at him calmly. "Ben, do you remember what I said before?" He nodded slowly. "You said you'd marry me, but I thought it was just confusion." Mira shook her head. "It is our law. My people follow the old code. If someone frees us from a life bond, we must bind our life to theirs." Ben rubbed his neck awkwardly. "I wasn't trying to win a bride. I was just trying to help." "I know," Mira said. "That's why. It matters." Ben stared at her. Her voice was calm, honest. She wasn't joking. She wasn't confused. "But we just met," he said. "Time doesn't matter," she replied. "Action does." He sat down, still trying to understand. "I don't know your people. I don't even know where you're from." "I will tell you, if you wish," she said, gently. "But first, I must know." Will you reject me? Ben looked into her silver eyes. They weren't asking for pity. She wasn't begging. She was simply offering something. Something serious, something real. He shook his head slowly. I'm not rejecting you. I just need time to think. Mira nodded. Time is allowed. But know this, my word is true. I will stand by it. She turned and walked back down the hall. Her steps silent. Ben sat in the quiet room, heart beating a little faster. He had gone to Zeta 9 looking for scrap, but he brought back something much more mysterious. The ship flew quietly through deep space, far from any planet. Stars glowed outside the windows. Calm and endless, inside the ship, Ben stood near the control panel, checking the route. A nearby station called Haven 7 had agreed to allow them to dock for rest and supplies. Behind him, the sound of footsteps made him turn. Mira entered the control room, standing tall now, her silver eyes calm. You are well today? She asked. Ben nodded. Yeah, and you? I am stronger, Mira said. Your ship is warm, peaceful. Ben smiled faintly. Better than that. Prison on Zeta 9. Mira looked out the window. I was taken there 3 years ago. Maybe more. Time felt slow. Ben crossed his arms. Who put you there? Mira was silent for a moment, then said, Raiders. I was traveling with a peace group. We tried to help both sides during the war. But the Drex captured us. Some were sold. I was kept. Ben felt a heavy chill in his chest. Why you? I come from the Alari, she said quietly. My people. Follow the old ways. I was the daughter of a high priestess. They thought I had value. Ben sat down, watching her closely. That's why you said those words to me. The vow? Mira nodded. Yes. In Alari law, when a person is saved from a life bond, they must tie their life to the one who saved them. Ben sighed. And by tie their life, you mean marriage. To us, it is not only a bond of love. Mira said, it is a promise, a protection, a deep loyalty. Ben leaned back. I wasn't expecting that. Mira stepped closer. I understand. Human ways are different. He gave a small laugh. Yeah, usually. People talk a lot first, date, sometimes it doesn't work out. Mira tilted her head. You think we will not work? Ben shook his head. I don't know. I don't want you to feel forced. I'm not forced, she said clearly. I choose this. You came when no one else did. You broke the chains. You carried me. That means more than words. Ben didn't know what to say. She wasn't just serious, she was confident, calm, and kind. And yet, part of him still felt unsure. Just then, a soft alarm beeped. The ship was approaching Haven 7. Ben focused on the screen and opened a call. A voice came through. Incoming ship, identify yourself. This is Ben Cross, civilian engineer. I'm requesting temporary docking. Confirm. But what species is your passenger? Ben paused. She's Alari. There was silence for a moment. Then, the voice said coldly, Alari contact requires clearance. Hold position. Ben frowned. Wait, what? She's not dangerous. Hold position. The voice repeated. Ben closed the call, jaw tight. Mira stood quietly. They fear what they do not know, she said softly. You didn't do anything wrong, Ben said. You're not a threat. They will not see that. Ben looked at her. Then I'll make them see it. He called again. Listen, she's not a criminal. She was imprisoned by Drex raiders. She helped no war. She wants peace. Again. Silence. Then finally, docking approved, but only temporary. And she must not leave the ship without escort. Ben sighed. Understood. Hours later, after docking, Ben gathered supplies while Mira waited inside. She sat near the window, staring out at the people below. Some looked up at her ship and pointed. Others turned away. When Ben returned, he found her standing quietly. They do not like me, she said. They don't know you yet, Ben replied. Fear's easy. Trust takes time. Mira gave a small smile. You speak wisely. Ben dropped the supply bag. I got food, tools, and a few books. Thought you might want to learn more about humans. Mira stepped forward. I would like that. Over the next few days, the ship stayed at Haven 7, but Ben and Mira rarely left instead. They talked, Ben told her about Earth, oceans, music, how people laughed and argued and danced. Mira listened closely. She told him about her world, tall trees with glowing leaves, songs sung without sound, stories written in light. One night, as they sat near the window, Mira asked Ben, "Do you believe in fate?" He thought for a moment. "Sometimes, I think we make choices, and those choices lead us somewhere. I believe we met for a reason," she said, "even if you don't see it yet." Ben looked at her. Maybe I'm starting to." The next morning, a message arrived from Earth Command. Ben opened it, frowning. "What is it?" Mira asked. "They're asking questions," Ben said. "About you, about your vow. They think it might be some kind of trick." Mira stayed calm. "If they call, I will speak later." A live message came through. A group of Earth officers appeared on the screen. Ben Cross. The lead officer said, "We have reports of a foreign oath between you and an alien female. Is this true?" Ben glanced at Mira, then back. "Yes." "Is this a romantic bond?" Ben hesitated. Mira touched his arm gently. "Say truth," she whispered. I don't know." Ben said honestly. "But she trusts me. I saved her, and I'm not letting her go." The officer looked at Mira. "Do you speak for yourself, Mira?" "Step forward." "I do. I gave my word. I will marry him. He may not yet accept, but my vow stands." The officers whispered among themselves. Then one said, "This is unusual. But for now, no law has been broken. You may continue travel, but we will monitor your case." The message ended. Ben let out a breath. That could have gone worse. Mira smiled softly. "Thank you for standing with me." Ben looked at her long and hard. "I think I'm starting to understand what your vow really means." After the call with Earth Command, the ship stayed docked at Haven 7 for a few more days. People passed by their docking bay, some pausing to stare through the window at the strange alien woman with silver hair. Mira didn't look away. She watched. Then back, calm and steady. Ben tried to ignore the looks. He was more focused on the new part of his life, living with someone who was once a stranger, but now felt like something more. Mira spent time reading. She picked up human books from the small onboard library and sat silently for hours. Her favorite, surprisingly, was a children's storybook with drawings of trees, animals, and a brave girl who traveled the stars. "You like that one?" Ben asked, smiling. Mira looked up. "Yes, it's simple, but true. She learns by walking alone, but she becomes strong by walking with others," Mira said. Ben nodded. "That's fair." They started eating meals together in the small dining corner of the ship. Mira tried Earth food one by one. Some she liked. Some made her squint and push the plate away with a gentle shake of her head. "Too salty," she said once, holding up a slice of cooked meat. Ben laughed. "You don't like bacon? That's illegal on Earth." Mira tilted her head. "Is it a weapon?" Ben chuckled harder. No, it's just a joke." Mira smiled softly, still learning human humor. One evening, Ben sat on the floor of the ship's small engineering bay. He was fixing a loose panel near the battery core. Mira walked in and crouched beside him. "You do this every day?" she asked. "Mostly," Ben replied. "Keeps the ship running." She watched his hands move carefully. Then she reached out and touched the tool. "May I learn?" Ben looked at her in surprise. "You want to fix ships. I want to know your world," Mira said. "You fix things. That is part of you." Ben handed her a wrench. "All right. Lesson 1, don't drop this on your foot." The next few days passed peacefully. Mira learned quickly. She remembered every part name, every wire color. Ben was surprised. She didn't just copy, she understood. They also shared stories. Ben told her about Earth's oceans, rain, and music. He described the smell of spring after rain, the noise of city streets, the way kids shouted and played outside his parents' home. Mira listened closely, then shared her world. She spoke of her home, Alara, a green planet with glowing rivers and trees that hummed at night. "Our trees respond to feelings," she said. "They change color when people are happy or sad." Ben imagined that. "I'd love to see that." Mira looked at him. I hope one day you can. That night, Ben couldn't sleep. He sat near the ship's main window, staring at the stars. Mira quietly joined him. You are thinking deeply, she said. I am, Ben admitted. It's just strange. A few weeks ago, I was alone. Now, you're here. And this vow thing still surprises me. Mira nodded. I understand. My people give the vow easily, but only when it feels right. It is more than law. It is heart. Ben looked at her. Why me, Mira? Why did it feel right? She didn't answer right away. Then she said, because you didn't look at me like I was a thing. You looked at me like a person. You cared even when you had nothing to gain. Ben stayed silent. Mira added, I do not say it lightly when I say I will marry you, but I will not force you. I want you to choose too. Ben gave a small smile. You're not what I expected, but I'm glad you're here. She smiled too. Then maybe we walk the same path. The next morning, Ben received a strange signal. A warning message from deep space. Ben, Mira called. This code, it's old Drex language. Ben stood beside her. Can you translate? She looked at the screen, her expression serious. It says, you have taken what is ours. Return the Alari, or we will come. Ben's stomach turned. They're tracking us, possibly, Mira said, or watching Haven 7. Ben slammed his hand on the table. We just found peace, and now they want to ruin it? Mira touched his shoulder gently. We can leave. Go far. No. Ben said, running won't stop them, and I'm not letting them take you again. Mira looked at him. Then we prepare. Later that day, Ben met with a station officer. He explained the message, the Drex threat, and Mira's history. The officer frowned. This could bring trouble. To Haven 7, she didn't ask for this, Ben said. She's done nothing wrong. We'll increase patrols. The officer replied. But if it becomes dangerous, you both may have to leave. Ben nodded. Understood. Back on the ship, Mira was already working. She had found old energy shields and was upgrading the system. You're serious about fighting? Ben said. I do not want war, Mira replied. But I will not be taken again. Ben helped her. Together, they fixed shields, improved the scanners, and checked weapons. It wasn't much, but it was something. That night, as they sat again near the window, Ben finally spoke the words he had been holding back. You said you chose me. Maybe I'm starting to choose you too. Mira looked at him, eyes shining. I don't know everything yet, Ben said, but I do know this I'll protect you, no matter what comes. Mira smiled. Then we are no longer walking alone. And together, they looked out at the stars not as strangers anymore, but as two lives slowly becoming one. The silence of space didn't last long. Ben woke to a flashing red light on the control panel. The warning signal buzzed sharply in the ship's cabin. Mira was already there, standing still and watching the screen with focused eyes. What is it? Ben asked, rubbing his eyes. She pointed to the radar. A ship, large. Not from Haven 7. Ben stared at the screen. The ship was massive and dark, moving slowly toward the station. Its design was sharp, spiked, and cold. He recognized it immediately. Drex, he whispered. They found us. Mira nodded. They are searching, and they know I am here. Ben quickly sent a message to Haven 7 security. Enemy ship near the station. Request immediate scan and defense. The station responded. Confirmed. We see it. Stay docked and prepare for lockdown. Ben turned to Mira. They won't stop. Will they? No, Mira said quietly. Not until they take me again, or I make them stop. Within the hour, the Drex ship sent a broadcast. The voice was rough, deep, and without emotion. You hold what is ours. The Alari belongs to us. Return her now, or we will take her by force. Mira stood behind Ben as the message ended. She didn't flinch. She didn't move. Ben faced her. We're not handing you over. Mira looked him in the eye. If we stay, Haven 7 could be attacked. We'll fight, Ben said firmly. We've prepared. I won't run. Mira gently touched his arm. Then I will fight with you. The station activated its shields and defense cannons. Ships took positions outside. The Drex vessel didn't fire yet, but it didn't move away either. Ben and Mira returned to their ship and started final checks. I've set shield frequency to shift every 5 seconds, Mira said. It will be harder to break. Ben nodded. Weapon systems online. Power levels stable. She turned to him. If they board the station, I must face them. Ben frowned. We'll face them together. Mira reached into her bag and pulled out a small case. She opened it, revealing thin glowing threads. She wrapped them slowly around her arms like symbols, each line glowing brighter with her touch. What is that? Ben asked. Mark of my people, she said. It tells the enemy I'm no longer hiding. I stand as myself. Ben watched her carefully. You really were important back home, weren't you? I was not just a daughter, she said. I was chosen to protect our ways. That's why they wanted to control me. Ben placed his hand over hers. Not anymore. An hour later, the Drex made their move. A shuttle broke off from their ship and moved toward the station. It flew straight to Dock 6, Ben's dock. Here they come, he muttered. Mira stood ready, her arm markings glowing. Ben had his blaster, charged but set to stun. He didn't want to kill, but he would protect her. The shuttle docked. Smoke hissed from the landing ramp as it opened. 3 Drex soldiers stepped out, tall, armored, cold eyes glowing blue. The leader raised his hand. Step aside, human. She belongs to us. Ben stood in front of Mira. Not anymore. You cannot protect her from us. She's not alone. Ben said, she has me. She has this station. Try anything, and you'll regret it. The Drex stepped forward, but Mira raised her hand. I speak now, she said firmly. I was once trapped, but I am no longer a prisoner. Tell your masters the vow has been made. I am bound by my people's law. You have no claim over me. The Drex hesitated. That law is not ours. It is mine, she said. And this man accepted it. Touch him, and you touch me. The leader paused. He looked at Ben, then back at Mira. Without a word, he stepped back and signaled his soldiers. They turned and walked back into the shuttle. Ben blinked in surprise. Wait, that's it? Mira's voice was calm. They test with fear first. When fear fails, they return with force. Hours passed. The station stayed on high alert. The Drex ship didn't move away. Everyone knew the real attack could come any time. Ben paced the ship's floor, his nerves tight. Mira sat in silence, meditating. Her breathing was slow and steady. Ben finally asked, how can you be so calm? I'm afraid, Mira admitted. But fear is not weakness. It is a message. Be ready. Ben sat beside her. I don't know how this ends. We choose how it ends, she said. Then she looked at him, serious. Ben, if I fall, promise me something. No, he said quickly. Don't talk like that. Promise me, she said again, if I fall. You must not let the Drex use me again. My knowledge, my voice, promise you will stop them. Ben held her hand tightly. You're not falling. Not today. Mira nodded. Then we will stand together. Late that night, an alarm sounded again. The Drex ship launched several small fighters, fast, sharp, and built for battle. The sky above Haven 7 lit with energy blasts as defense turrets began firing. Station guards rushed to their posts. Ben and Mira raced to the command room to help coordinate. This is more than a warning, Ben said. They're trying to break through. Mira looked at the radar. They're sending to fighters toward Dock 6 again, us. Ben grabbed his gear. Then we meet them. She looked at him. This is not just about me anymore. I know, Ben said. It's about all of us now, outside the ship. Mira and Ben faced the 2 enemy fighters landing near their dock. As the Drex soldiers stepped out, they expected fear. But they found resistance. Mira stood tall, glowing lines on her arms like fire. Ben stood beside her, eyes sharp. The lead soldier raised a weapon. Ben fired first. The first shot from Ben's blaster hit one of the Drex soldiers straight in the chest. The energy pulsed through him backward with a heavy thud. The second Drex raised his weapon, but Mira was faster. With a smooth motion, she lifted her hand. A wave of bright blue light shot from the glowing marks on her arms, hitting the Drex in the eyes. He stumbled, blinded, and fell. The third soldier, the leader, backed away. He looked at them, Ben, with his steady aim, and Mira standing tall like a warrior of light. Without another word, he ran back toward the fighter ship. Ben ran after him, shouting, "Mira, cover me." She nodded and raised both hands, sending a small energy pulse that disabled the Drex fighter's engines. The ship sparked and hissed. Unable to launch, Ben reached the leader and tackled him to the ground. The Drex hissed, trying to punch, but Ben struck faster. Years of training kicked in. With one strong blow, the Drex leader was down. Ben stood over him, breathing hard. "It's over," he said. Mira walked over, calm and quiet. "No, not yet." Inside the station, alarms continued to ring. The main Drex ship was still out there, and more fighters circled the station. Mira looked up at the radar screen inside their ship. Her face turned serious. "They are sending a full attack group now," she said. "More ships, more soldiers." Ben clenched his fists. "They're trying to break the shields." Haven 7's voice echoed through the comms. "This is Commander Reese. Enemy fighters detected on all sides. We're losing outer shields. We need backup now." Ben looked at Mira. "Can your tech do more?" She nodded slowly. "There's one more way, but it's risky." "Show me," Ben said. Mira led him to the back room of the ship. She opened a sealed case, revealing a small black cube with soft blue lights. It hummed with power. "This is a pulse core," she explained. "It was given to me before I was captured. It creates a temporary energy blast that can disable ships, if placed close enough." Ben stared at it. "That could knock out the Drex ship." "Yes," Mira said. "But someone must take it close to their command ship." Ben stepped forward. "I'll do it." Mira grabbed his arm. "It's dangerous. You may not return." Ben looked into her silver eyes. "I already made my choice. I won't let them take you. I won't let them hurt anyone else." Mira stared at him for a moment, then nodded. She placed the cube in a small shielded case and handed it to him. "Then I will guide you," she said. Ben launched their small stealth pod into space. It was barely bigger than a car, but it was fast and quiet. Mira stayed on the comms, guiding him from the ship. "Go left. There's a gap in their fighters," she said. "Copy that," Ben replied. He flew past Haven 7's burning shields and into open space. The Drex command ship loomed ahead, dark and sharp like a knife floating among the stars. Inside the pod, Ben kept his hands tight on the controls. His heart pounded, but his mind was clear. Mira's voice kept him focused. "You are strong," she said. "Not just with weapons, with heart." Ben smiled slightly. "Thanks. I think I'm starting to believe that too." As he reached the Drex ship, Ben activated the pulse course timer. He had just 2 minutes to plant it and escape. The stealth pod slid beneath the Drex ship's belly. Ben opened the hatch, grabbed the core, and floated toward a small vent port. He placed the device carefully inside, locked it, and turned back. Suddenly an alarm. They spotted him. A Drex guard ship fired. A blast hit the pod's wing, damaging the thrusters. "Ben," Mira shouted through the comm. "Are you all right?" "Half all right," Ben said, dodging another blast. "Thrusters weak, but I'm heading back." The timer hit 20 seconds. Ben pushed the pod as fast as it could go. Behind him, the Drex ship began to glow, energy rising as the pulse core activated. 10 seconds, Mira said. "I know," Ben shouted, sweat running down his face. 5, 4, 3. Ben passed behind a small asteroid just as the pulse core exploded. A huge burst of blue-white light rippled through space. The Drex ship went dark, completely shut down. Smaller ships nearby lost control and floated lifeless. Mira's voice came back, clear and filled with relief. "You did it. They're retreating." Ben exhaled, leaning back. That was close. Back at Haven 7, the station cheered as the Drex ships floated powerless. The commander sent a message to Ben Cross and the Alari woman. "Thank you. You saved us all." Inside their ship, Mira rushed to Ben as he returned. She pulled him into a gentle embrace. "You came back," she whispered. "Of course I did," Ben said. "I gave you my word." Mira looked at him, her silver eyes soft. Then hear mine again. I gave my vow before, but now I give my heart too. Ben smiled. And I accept it. For the first time, no doubts, no confusion, just truth. Later, as the stars shone peacefully outside the window, Mira and Ben sat side by side. Ben looked at her. You know, when you said you'd marry me, I really did think it was a joke. Mira gave a small laugh. And now, he reached for her hand. Now I think it might have been the best thing anyone's ever said to me. And somewhere in the quiet space between them, something deep and strong began to grow. Not a vow made by law, but by love. The warship was gone. The Drex had been defeated. At least for now. Haven 7 was safe again. The stars above the station looked brighter, and the air inside felt lighter. But Ben knew something was still unfinished. He stood beside Mira in the ship's control room. She looked calm, her silver eyes watching the screen as Earth came into view, blue, round, glowing with life. Have you ever seen Earth before? Ben asked. No, Mira replied. Only in images and stories. But it feels familiar. Ben smiled. Let's hope Earth feels the same way about you. They had received clearance to land after long talks with Earth Command. Mira was registered as a peaceful alien under protection. Still, many people on Earth were nervous. Some feared what they didn't know, but Ben wasn't afraid. Their ship landed on a quiet base near the edge of a forest. The air smelled fresh, and the sky was clear blue. Mira stepped outside slowly. Barefoot on real grass, she looked up at the clouds, then closed her eyes. This world is soft, she whispered, like the sound of sleep. Ben laughed. Yeah, it's not bad. You should try rain sometime. She looked at him. I want to see everything. We'll take it slow. Ben said, We've got time. A week later, Ben took Mira to visit his hometown. It was a small village with trees, hills, and a wide lake that sparkled in the sun. Kids ran around the park. People sat outside their homes as Ben and Mira walked down the street. Heads turned. Some people stared. Others whispered. Mira didn't look down or hide. She walked tall, wearing a simple white dress, her glowing marks now hidden under long sleeves. Ben stayed close beside her. They reached a small house near the hill. His childhood home. Ben knocked on the door. It opened slowly. His mother stood there short, warm-eyed, with gray hair and gentle hands. She stared at Mira for a moment, surprised. This is her, she asked softly. Ben nodded. Mira stepped forward and bowed politely. It is an honor to meet you. His mother blinked, then smiled. Well, come in, both of you. I made tea. Inside, the house was cozy and full of old pictures. Mira sat quietly at the table, holding a warm cup in both hands. Ben's mother studied her for a while, then said, You're not what I imagined. Mira raised her eyes. What did you imagine? I'm not sure, the woman said. But you seem kind. Mira smiled softly. I tried to be. Later, Ben's father arrived. He was quiet at first, but after listening to Mira talk about her people and how she had survived, he gave her a nod of respect. You've been through a lot, he said. I'm still learning. Mira replied. At the end of the evening, Ben's mother pulled him aside and whispered, You care about her. I do, Ben said. Then protect her, she said. Not everyone will be kind. In the following days, Ben and Mira visited small markets, walked by the lake, and watched the sunset from the top of a hill. Mira touched the water with her fingers, laughed at the sound of birds, and helped an old man fix a broken drone cart in the street. Word spread quickly. Some people were still unsure of her, but many began to smile when they saw her. A child gave her a flower. A woman offered her fresh bread. Slowly, Earth was beginning to accept her. One afternoon, a group of officials arrived at Ben's home. They wore clean suits and carried data tablets. We're here for a formal review, the lead man said. About the alien subject, she has a name, Ben said. Calmly, Mira. The man nodded without emotion. We need to ask her some questions. Mira stepped forward. I will answer. They asked about her powers, her people, her past. Mira answered simply, never raising her voice. One woman from the group leaned forward. And you're vow to, Mr. Cross. Is that still your plan? Yes, Mira said. But it is no longer just a vow of duty. It is a vow of the heart. Ben looked at her, a little surprised by her open words. The officials made notes silently. We'll record this, they said. Then left. Ben walked outside with her. You said it clearly this time. Mira smiled. Because I meant it clearly. That night, Ben stood by the lake. The moon reflected on the water, and fireflies blinked in the trees. Mira stood beside him, holding his hand. Earth is beautiful, she said. So are you, Ben replied. Mira looked at him quietly. When I first said I would marry you, I followed a rule. But now, I follow something deeper. Ben turned to face her. Mira, I've waited, thought, watched, and now I know. I choose you too. Mira placed her hand over his heart. Then our path is one. The stars above them glowed quietly, and the night breeze carried their promise forward 2 lives. One so different, now slowly becoming one under the same sky. The day began with soft rain falling across the green hills. Ben stood near the lake where he and Mira had shared so many quiet moments. The wind was cool, and the sky was painted with soft clouds. His shirt was simple, clean, and white. His hands were shaking, just a little. Today was the day, today. He would marry the alien woman who once whispered a strange vow in the ruins of Zeta-9. He had thought it was a joke. Now, it was the most serious thing in his life. Inside the small gathering hall nearby, Mira stood in front of a mirror. She wore a dress made of 2 worlds, soft white fabric from Earth and silver thread from her home. The glowing lines on her arms shimmered under the cloth, not hidden, but shone with pride. Her hair was tied with a small green ribbon Ben had once given her. It had no special power, no history, but she wore it like it meant everything. You ready? Asked Ben's mother from behind. Mira turned and smiled. Yes. You look beautiful, the older woman said. I feel calm, Mira replied, but my heart is not still. That means it's real, she said gently. The ceremony was small, held by the lake under a white canopy. A few Earth officials were there, some villagers, a few station officers from Haven 7, even Commander Reese had come. Standing quietly near the back, the Alari had no priest on Earth, but Mira brought a small glowing stone from her ship, the symbol of her peoples. Vow, it rested between them during the ceremony. Ben stood at one side, Mira on the other. A kind woman from Earth read the words, We are gathered to witness something rare. 2 souls, from different stars, choosing to walk as one. Ben took Mira's hand. Mira, he said softly, when I first met you, I only meant to help. I didn't know that moment would change my life. But now I know I choose you, not because of duty, not because of law. I choose you because my heart sees you. Mira's eyes glistened, but no tear fell. Her voice was clear. Ben, she said, you were light in my dark. You broke my chains. But more than that, you saw me. You never looked away. I give you my vow again, not from old law, but from new love. They placed their hands over the glowing Alari stone. It lit up with soft blue light, a gentle pulse that made the crowd go still. 2 lives connected. 2 hearts joined. When the speaker said, You may seal your promise. Ben leaned forward and kissed Mira gently. For the first time, the villagers clapped. Not out of politeness, out of joy. Later that evening, a quiet celebration was held under the stars. No big party, no loud music, just laughter, warm food, and glowing lanterns floating above the lake. Mira sat beside Ben on a wooden bench, watching the sky. I never thought I'd be here, she whispered. Me neither, Ben said. She leaned against his shoulder. Do you think your people will always accept me? Not all at once, Ben said. But they will. One day, stories like ours won't be rare. Mira nodded. And your world, it will be my home now. You're already part of it, he said. A few days later, Earth Command called Ben for a special meeting. Mira joined him. Inside the large building, several officers stood waiting, including the same officials who had once questioned her. We've seen your actions." One of them said, "You helped protect Haven 7. You brought peace, not danger." Another officer added, "And Mira, your vow, your actions, your knowledge Earth sees you not as a stranger, but as a friend." Ben and Mira listened silently. "We offer you both a role," the officer continued. "Advisors between our worlds. You can help build trust between Earth and the Alari." Ben looked at Mira. She looked back. "We accept," she said, dotting the months that followed. Ben and Mira traveled between stations. They spoke at schools, met with leaders, helped settle small conflicts. Mira's calm voice became known across the colonies. Ben's honesty and steady presence earned respect. They never acted like heroes. They just walked forward, hand in hand, doing what they could, one day at a time. One quiet evening, they stood again at the same hill by the lake. The wind was soft. The stars were bright. Ben looked at Mira. "Do you remember the first thing you ever said to me?" She smiled. "Yes, you said, 'I will marry you.' I did. I thought it was a joke. And now?" she asked gently. Ben pulled her close. "Now I can't imagine my life without those words." They stood in silence for a while, listening to the wind, the water, the soft hum of a peaceful world. Then Mira whispered, "Let the stars write our story now." And together, under the sky that once seemed so far between them, their story continued, one promise, one future, forever joined.